Okay. Rabbi said what we're going to do is the same thing we did yesterday. I'm going to start from the beginning of the questions. Okay, we're going to start. I have to just find my list. We're going to start from the beginning of the questions, and we're going to read through. Okay, just give me a second. My copy machine doesn't have paper. If you don't put in, it doesn't give out. And of course, the plan is, just 1 second. The plan is that the first bunch of questions we already learned. So we're going to go through them a little bit more quickly. And then as we get closer to the end, I'm going to slow down. In other words, what I'm doing is this. It's very simple. I'm dedicating the last couple of days to talking a little bit about this concept which is called Elokus, godliness, Oirein Seif, Shem Havaya. It comes up again and again and again and again in Limud HaChasidus. It certainly comes up in our classes. Because to me it's very important, we have to get the sense that that's what Chassidus, what the Kabbalah is about. That's what Chassidus is about. So we did it on Monday. Yesterday we reviewed some of what we did on Monday. Today we're going to go over all the old questions and we're going to move forward. I'm asking you all to open up the Google Docs and look at today's page. I just renewed it. Like 10 minutes ago I added a couple more questions. I'm asking you to open up the Google Docs and look at the page. Again, if you don't want to write the answers again that you wrote yesterday, you don't have to write them. But the entire shiur is going to be reading and answering these questions. Okay? Question 1. Godliness isn't God, and it isn't a creation either. It's not boire anymore. It's not nivra yet. And the whole chiddush of Kabbalah is Elokus. In philosophy, there is boire and nivra, there's creator and creation. And in Chassidus, there's boire, and then there's matzil and netzal, emanator and emanation, moed and oed, and then there is creation, nivra. So Elokus is not boire anymore, in quotations, but it's not nivra yet. And if anybody wants to interrupt me, feel free to do so. Question 2. In words, what is one of the differences between God and godliness? Using a Hebrew word, what is the difference between the word alakah and the word Elokus? And the answer is the word Metzias, or Metzias Nimtza. The Eibishter's Metzias is built-in Nimtza. Hashem's existence is non-existential. That means the Eibishter's Metzias has no relationship with anything outside of itself. It's totally atzmi, and the way I like to translate the word atzmi, it exists biyachas el atzmo. It exists in relationship with self and not a relationship with other at all. Elokus, the whole chiddush of Elokus, that it's a Metzias Nimtza, it exists existentially, which means that at least on a certain level, it has a relationship. I don't know if you could say yet the word dependency, but it has a relationship with other things. Question 3. Now, if you want to interrupt me, feel free to do so. This is why we're having this shiur. Question 3. Every Metzias has at least 3 aspects of definition. In order for someone to be a Metzias, it has to have 3 things, at least, which built-in Metzias does not have. What are they? What are the minimum 3 things that a Metzias needs to have? Number 1, a relationship with time. Number 2, a relationship with space. And number 3, a definition, a form of some sort. To use a example of a form for Elokus, Gilui is a form. Gilui Elokus is a form. Gilui is a form. Even Hamshacha is a form. Okay, so the question 3 is, since Eirein Seif, since godliness, Getlichkeit, Elokus, is different than Elokah, because it's a Metzias Nimtza, and every Metzias Nimtza must have a minimum of 3 definitions. What are they? A yachas to zman, a yachas to mokim. I'm not taking that they're limited by time. They have a relationship with time, they have a relationship with space, and they have a relationship with, they have a form. And this is what I told you yesterday in Shir, right? Question 4, continued from question 3. Where is this idea brought out in the issue of Tzimtzum Rishon? This idea that in question 3 in question 3 we wrote that every Metzias has to have 3 aspects. Number 1, a relationship with time. Number 2, a relationship with space. Number 3, some kind of a form. How does this play out in Tzimtzum Rishon? The answer is simple and fundamental. Because Tzimtzum Harishon has to do with Mokim. You can only speak about Siluk from Mokim. It ain't safe, you could say the Eivish was Mistalik from the Mokim. That's why the Alter Rebbe is Mechadesh, a Chiddush Nifla, very, very important Chiddush. The Alter Rebbe's Chiddush is Hamoid Hu Be'ez Galus. Tzimtzum has nothing to do with the Eibishter. The reason Tzimtzum has nothing to do with the Eibishter because the Eibish is not a Metzias, doesn't have a Yachas to Mokim. And since he doesn't have a Yachas to Mokim, you can't speak of him being nostalgic from Mokim. Oyer is a Metzias Nimtza, because Getlichkeit, godliness, is a Metzias Nimtza. You could speak of godliness as being in the Mokim or being nostalgic from the Mokim. But of course, Mendy Jacobs is not here, so I'll say what he said yesterday. But the Tzimtzum is Shalei Kipshutei. True, Tzimtzum is Shalei Kipshutei. But Tzimtzum Shalei Kipshutei is the Eibishter's angle. Our angle is that there was a Mokim, and he was in it, and he's no longer in it. The only way that could be, even from our angle, is because he has a Shaykhis to Mokim. Okay? So, question 5. This is all review. And again, I am begging you to interrupt me with questions if you have them. In other words, I'm not just reviewing this to waste time. I'm reviewing this because I feel that if I say it enough times, werden sich die Sachen ablegen. In other words, I'm using this medium, this forum, this framework, this discussion to talk about a lakus and talk about a lakus and talk about a lakus. In other words, a little bit, even if you're not going to understand the lakus, at least you understand that understanding the lakus is complicated. That would itself be a hatzlacha. Okay? So again, if anybody has any questions or comments, please ask. You could see that I rewrote the sheet. I spent yesterday in the morning a lot of time, and then after the sheet I spent again a lot of time, and I spent more time this morning tweaking the questions to serve the purpose. Question 5. How would the Rambam say these 2 ideas? Oibishter versus Ein Seif. How would the Rambam say the idea that Atzmos Hashem is a Motzei built in a Motzei Leibe Metzias, and Ein Seif is a Metzias Nimtza? And again, this is directly from the Rebbe Sichas. The Rambam would call Atzmos Eine Motzei, and the Rambam would call Ein Seif Motzei Rishon. Right? Yeseda Zamud HaChochmas Leida Shesh Sham Motzei Rishon Uhu Mamtzi Kol Nimtza V'chol HaNimtzoyim B'Shamayim V'Artz V'Masha B'Neim L'Nimtzu Elam HaMitasi Motzei. That's Halacha Aleph, and then Halacha Beis reads V'im Yala Ladas Shehu Ein Motzei Ein Davaracha Yochel Lehi Motzis. Teaches the Rebbe Yala Ladas. You're going to go up to a higher layer of das, and you're going to say that the Eibush that exists as an Ein Motzei Ein Davarach Yochel Lehi Motzis. So, Bilti Metzias Nimtza is called in the Rambam Ein Motzei, and Metzias Nimtza is called Motzei Rishon. In other words, if you want it to be unrefined and simplistic, you could say that when the Rambam writes, Leida Shesha Motzei Rishon doesn't mean the Eibush. Motzei Rishon means Getlichkeit, godliness. Because godliness, for lack of words, godliness is God as a Metzias Nimtza. What's the difference between Oid and Moed? That Oid is a Metzias Nimtza, and a Metzias Nimtza has a Shaykhis with Zman, has a Shaykhis with Mokim, and therefore has a Shaykhis with us. Questions and comments? I feel like no one is. I'm saying such passionate things, and I'm saying them in such a passionate way, and you're all waiting for me to get into the new questions. Yeah, Mahal Kop, you with me? You with me? Okay, very good. Avram, you with me? Sean Berry, you with me? Ah, you saw. Thank you for that. Menachem Mendel Ezer, du bist dort und da. Chaim and Meir Zev and Menachem Mendel Mekeir Kol Harayetz, the cold state of Minnesota that has heated up America. We're not going to forget so quick, Mendi Mishalam. Question 6. Godliness has no self-identity. It isn't bottle, it is dvekus. What is the difference between bittul and dvekus? Right? Now again, I told you yes, I'll tell you again. I'm using the words bittul and dvekus. I'm not making it up. It says in Chassidus, but I'm using it to serve my purposes. In Chassidus, there's bittul ayesh and then there's bittul b'metzias. Bittul hametzias, bittul b'metzias, bittul atzmi. Bittul b'metzias is the same adreg as dvekus. Don't misunderstand. But I want to teach, which means I want to make things clear. And the best way to make things clear is to have clear distinctions. So I'm using the words bittul and dvekus as my medium to make things clear. The difference between the word bittul and the word dvekus is as follows. Bittul means yodim es atzmam v'yodim es yilasam. For something to be bottle, it has to first be not bottle. First I am, and then I serve Hashem. That's bittul. That's bittul ayesh. What's dvekus? Dvekus means I am not. I never was. There is no I. Ein Seif's I is atzmas. If you would have a conversation with Ein Seif, you would find him to be terribly boring. Terribly, terribly boring. Because all Ein Seif would tell you is, meet my source. Ein Seif is dvekus. It represents the Eibishter. Whatever the Eibishter is, Ein Seif represents or presents. There is no I. There's no self-identity to Ein Seif. That's the answer to question 6. Okay? Question 7. Question 7. It used to be called the sugya of lahavin Ein Seif. What is it called now in the last few generations? Right? The Alter Rebbe calls it lahavin Ein Seif. The Tzemach Tzedek calls it lahavin Ein Seif. When the Mashpiyim teach it, they call it the sugya of Eir V'Shefa. They told the sugya of Eir V'Shefa. Now yesterday I got into trouble with Menachem Mendel HaTzadik, Hagoan HaTzadik, because he didn't understand that the way the sugya of Eir V'Shefa works is that you start off with Eir V'Shefa. You start off with Eir V'Shefa. Very quickly, you forget about Shef and you talk only about Eir. Because the sugya of Eir V'Shefa really is not the sugya of Eir V'Shefa. It's the sugya of Lahavin and Ein Seif. We just come to understand Eir V'Shefa by first understanding Ein Seif, by first understanding Eir V'Shefa. So you start off by comparing and contrasting Eir and Shefa, and then after like a piece of the Maimed, a third of the Maimed, a half of the Maimed, you finish with Eir V'Shefa, and then you forget about Shefa completely. And you talk only about Oyer, because it's Oyer that's bothering the Rabbeim. Oyer Ein Seif is what we call a lakus, what the Mekubolim call Havaya. And this is what we're trying to understand. And this is what's not easy to understand. And this is the whole koch. Chassidim spent their entire lives to have der Herr, was is Getlichkeit? Or the noch tiefer, der Herr in Getlichkeit. Well, like I told you on Monday, I met a younger man in New Haven who told me, a younger man, he's my father's age or older, that when he was a bocher, another bocher went over to Magreser Maskell and said, explain to me Atzilus. So at the time I didn't say anything to him, but I thought about it later. That bocher probably asked every single bocher in the whole base of Medrash the same question. Explain to me. He wanted to understand Atzilus because his behemoth doesn't make any sense. What does it mean? There's a world, and it's not a world. It's an expression of the Eibishter. It's the whole struggle of Chassidus, or I should say the whole struggle of Chassidus in explaining Kabbalah. Chassidus itself is something different. The whole struggle of Chassidus in explaining Kabbalah is Lahav and Ein Seif, to explain the infinite Elokus. Question 8. What is the upside and what is the downside of Shefa? What is the Maila of Shefa and what is the Chasaron of Shefa? And the answer, of course, is the Maila of Shefa is that the Mashpiyah is Nitfas. The Maila of Shefa means if I'm giving you a cup of water, I have over here a cup of water that you can see. When I poured that cup of water into this cup from the bottle, at that moment I couldn't write a note to myself because my whole Metzias was Nitfas in the Ashpah. All I did was pour a glass of water. There's so much more to life than a glass of water. But while I was pouring that glass of water, I could do nothing else, because the mashpia is nitfas in the ashpa. I'm teaching you now a shir chassidus, I hope. Yeah, we're sitting here now, and we're learning Divrei Elokim Chaim Dach Pnimis HaTeira Chassidus Teiras Rabbi Mesiyenu. As I'm talking to you, I have to think. Obviously, I'm prepared. I'm doing the same page for the third day. You would think that by now I'm prepared, yeah? I prepared, and I learned it, and I thought it over. But Lopel, when I'm teaching, I'm completely involved in my teaching. I can't learn something else for myself right now. All I can do now is talk and teach to you. Because even though I'm teaching you one Dvar Seichel, and there's so many more Divrei Seichel, there's even more Divrei Seichel in mein kleiner Kopf. But right now, I'm giving you one Dvar Seichel. But along with that Dvar Seichel, I'm giving you myself. That's the mile of Shefa, that the Mashpia is Nitfas. The teacher is involved in the teaching. Okay, that's the mile. What's the Chesaron of Shefa? The second part of question 8. The Chesaron of Shefa is that you're giving a Mahus Dvar Ma. You give you something specific. You give something detailed. You don't give your whole self in the form of Shefa. Okay? Question 9. What is the upside and the downside of Oyer? What is the Maila of Oyer and what is the Chesaron of Oyer? The Maila of Oyer is that you have everything. Oyer me'ein hamoyer. Whatever the Mashpia is, you have in the Oyer. Whatever the source is revealed, is reflected in the light. Oyer me'ein hamoyer. Everything that the source is reflected. The Oyer carries every mile. If the Moyer has 1,000 miles, the Oyer carries 1,000 miles. If the Oyer has 5,000 miles or 1,000,000 miles or believable miles, if the Moyer has so many miles, the Oyer carries every mile. Because Oyer delivers what everything the Moyer is. That's the mile of Oyer. What's the Chesaron of Oyer? The Chesaron of Oyer is that the Mashpia is not giving you. You're getting it Mamela. The teacher is not nitfas in the hashpah. The teacher is not giving you anything. The teacher is just being, and you're getting it Mamela. Again, the Maila of Eid is that's Me'ein Hamoed. Every Maila that you have in the source comes out in the light, which is a Gewaldige Zach. So the Eid of the Eibishter reflects everything that the Eibishter is. The Chesaron of Eid is that there's no tfisa. The Mashpia is not giving it to you. He's just being. He's sitting in the sky. And the Eid is Nimshech to you Mamela. Okay, that's the Maila and the Chesaron of Eid. Now, as you know, I've been fine-tuning this sheet over and over and over again. In other words, every day I go back to my computer and I add more questions. So I thought I had a perfect sheet. I just remembered one more question that I can add. And that is, is there a place where you have side the mile of Shefa, side the mile of it? I'm adding a new question to the sheet. Is there a circumstance where you have side the mile of Hashpah that it's being given, and side the mile of Ed that it carries the whole Mashpeh? Does anybody know such an example?
Yeah, you said last time the Tipa.
Very good. I'm so happy. Very good. The answer is Tipa. A Tipa Satchad and Tipas Hanukva, it says in some places in Chassidus, the entire father is in the Tipa, and it's Befeira Shefa. It's not Oid, it's Shefa. So you have one instance where you have a Hashpah of Oid. Because that's really Hashpah of Etzem, it's not Oid. It can't be Mashpia Etzem. Oid. It's Mashpia Etzem itself. The Tipa is the Etzem Me'achav. Anyway, question 10. And by the way, I just noticed that our Tzaddik Menachem Mendel, the man of tailoring, said Kriyas Shema. So I'm using the opportunity to remind everybody, if you have not said Krishma, I don't know what time Zman Krishma is. I said Krishma a long time ago. Come on, I happen Zman Krishma jetzt. Okay? Question 10. Schämt sich nicht. If you say Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem K'vei B'chosam, say it. Our Rabbeim manipulate the mashal of Me'ein Hamoyer and complicate it much. How so? Now this is a funny question because I didn't really go into it. The Rabbeim take Ed Me'ein Hamoyer and they they squeeze out of it so many things that are not in Eid Mein Amor, you have no idea. The example that I mentioned to you is Yesh Me'ayin. The Alter Rebbe says that because of the principle of Eid Mein Amor, the Eid has Yeshes. Yeshes is an Eid, Yeshes is Moir. What's the difference between Moir and Eid? Between the Eibush and the light? The Eibush is called Yesh, and the Eid is called Ayin. Alter Rebbe says that because of Eid Mein Amor, the Eid also carries the Yeshes of Moir. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what he says. And so does the Rebbe. The Rebbe has so many examples where the Rebbe uses the mashal of Eid Mein Amor to explain that Oid is not just a ha'ara, but it's a complete ha'ara, which means it's even carrying the etzem of the moed. Again, I didn't explain it to you. I just felt compelled to mention this, Misat Shleima Se'inyan, when you learned the Mamorim of our Rebbe. I was talking to my son last night. The Rebbe's Maimorim is a classic example of Bizbuz Ha'etzes. The Rebbe said between 1,500 and 1,600 Maimorim of the Rebbe's Nesiyas. Everybody learns the Rebbe's Sichas. Everyone learns the Rebbe's Igris. Mituta Teva, everyone learns Maimorim the Rebbe did a Muge, which is also a lot. It's about 200 Maimorim. But the Rebbe's Maimorim is a ganze Welt with Chedushim Neiroyim. The Rebbe's Torah, the Rebbe's Maimorim have incredible nayas. The Rebbe took certain sugis and chasidus that the Rebbeim either didn't talk about at all or talked about very little, and he completely revolutionized them. Like the sugi of Nes and Teva, like the sugi of the Elokus of Choshech, and I could go on and on. And even in the Infinite Ein Sof, the Rebbe added new chedushim to the sugi of Eid Ein Sof, including the idea that mitadein of Eid Mein Amor, Eid is not just a ha'ara, it carries it. So again, I didn't explain to you question 10, I simply stated that first, when you start off Eid Mein Amor is called a ha'ara. That's all it is, ha'ara, it's chutz liyetz. The Rabbeim say that because it's Eid Mein Amor complete, so the ha'ara has to carry in Yonim Atzmim as well, otherwise it wouldn't be Mein Amor. So again, I'm not explaining it to you, but I am throwing it into the mix for you to put on a high shelf, that when you become a big Gon and Chassidus, you'll go back to, and you'll say that Paltiel didn't lie to us. Or you'll be able to say that at least Paltiel didn't lie to us. Okay? Question 11. Question 11. Okay, what is Eid Ein Sof? In other words, what two Meshulam are used to classify, classically to explain it? When you want to understand Eid Ein Sof, Eid Ein Sof means the light, which is the reflection of the Eibishter. Like I said before, on the one hand, every inyan you have in the Eibishter Kvayochel, you have in the Eibishter's light. On the other hand, nothing of the Eibishter is in the light, it's only a ha'ara. What two Meshulam are used? The answer is Oir HaShemesh and Chayis HaNefesh. In the Maimer Zeis Chukas Tofresh Samachvov, which is the source of a half a dozen Maimorim from the Frierdiker Rebbe. Again, when I was growing up and I learned Chassidus from my Mashpiyim, they called it the Sugi of Eir V'Shefa. And the truth is, the Sugi of Eir V'Shefa is the Sugi of Lahav and Inyan Eid Ein Sof. But they start with Eir V'Shefa. Okay? So the Frierdiker Rebbe has a whole bunch of Maimorim based on the Zeis Chukah from Tofresh Samachvov. Kamavakam Maimorim, 5, 6 Maimorim, based on the Zeis Chukah Samachvav. I think in one of my Samachvavs I wrote down old Maimorim of the Frierdiker Rebbe that are based on that Maimor, the Sugi of Eir V'Shefa, which is based on Eira Teref and Samach Tzadik Inyanim, which is based on the Alter Rebbe's Maimor, Lahavani and Eid Ein Sof. I think, but Samach Tzadik for sure. They use two Meshulam. They use the mashal of Eir HaShemesh, sunlight, and they use the mashal of Chayis HaNefesh, of the Neshama being Mislabish in the Guf. So of course the question becomes, why you have to have two Meshulam? Why is it one mashal enough? Give me 1 second. I own 4 or 5 Samachvavs. My kids have gegangen mit alle meine Samachvavs.
Oh, Hashem.
I write in my Sforim. So that they took the Sefer is good. I found another one. Oh. Interessant. By Zeis Chukas I have no notes. Not one. is very interesting. I'm not finding what I'm looking for, so I'm going to leave it alone. No point in wasting your time, okay? So let's go. What is the maila of the mashal of Eir HaShemesh, and what is its chesaron? What's the maila of the mashal of Eir HaShemesh, and what's its chesaron? Again, we all did all of this yesterday. We're going over it again. The maila of Eir HaShemesh is that it's oin meyein hamoyer. Everything you have in the Eibush, you have in his Eir. Everything you have in the sun comes out in the sunlight. Every maila you have in Ma'ir comes out in Oir. That's the maila. What's the chesaron of Eir HaShemesh? The chesaron of Eir HaShemesh is that it's behechrech. The sun does not have control over its own light. The sun is not free to say, today I'm not shining. The light of the sun has to come out of the sun. If the light of the sun has to come out of the sun, that means the sun is not a balabayas over its own light. If you would use only the sun as a mashal to explain Erein Seif, you would end up with two gods. The Eibishter and the Eibishter Linis, because the Eibishter is not a balabas over Eibishter Linis. If you only have the mashal of Eir HaShemesh, the Eir HaShemesh is meir behechrech. The sun has to produce light. You can't say by the Eibishter has to. And that's why you have question 13. How is it fixed by the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh? How does Chayes HaNefesh answer? Help. And of course the answer is Chayes HaNefesh helps because what Chayes HaNefesh adds is din from Ratz. Chayes HaNefesh comes out of the Nefesh b'derech oil. That's how it's explained. The Neshama goes into the Guf. The Neshama is mispashet in the Guf, not b'derech shefa. The neshama isn't giving anything to the guf. The neshama is just being, ising in the guf, and the chayes comes out memeila. But if the nefesh doesn't want, it doesn't come out. Where do you see this? By gilgul. When Rachmana litzlan, there's a gilgul of the neshama of a person into the guf of a behemah or temeach or a daimim. So the neshama is not behis pashas, it's not behis galos. Itaka says that it's a moedindik tsar for the neshama. It causes the neshama lots and lots of pain. It's very painful for the neshama. But even though it causes the neshama so much pain, it doesn't come out because it doesn't want to. And you need the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh to say that the Eid is beratz. Because by the Eibishter you cannot say that it's not a balabais over his Eid. Because if Rachmana litzlan you say that the Eibush is not a balabayas over his Eir, you're saying in effect that there's two Eibushters, the Eibishter and the Eibishter Linus. You have to say that if Hashem wants, there would not be Eid Sof. And that's why you have to have the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh. So in Samach Vov and a lot of the later Maimorim, they join together the two Mishalim of Eir HaShemesh and Chayes HaNefesh to bring out this Nakuda of Erein Seif being Me'ein HaMoyer that we have from the mashal of Eir HaShemesh, and being Gritzenis that we have from the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh. Questions or comments? Question 14. What is the chesaron of the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh that requires the mashal of sunlight? Why can we only use the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh? Since Chayes HaNefesh is beratz. Why do you have to have also the mashal of Eir HaShemesh? The answer is because Chayes HaNefesh is not mein amoy. The life that comes out of the neshama and goes into the guf is not a reflection of the nefesh. It's a reflection of the guf's koich to receive. Pardon me. And since chayes ha-nefesh does not come out of the nefesh me'ein ha-moed, it doesn't reflect the sugi of Ein Sof in the aspect that the oil is carrying everything in the moed. And that's why you have to have the two mesholim. Each one is mashed of the other. Question 15. Note, do you see confusion and conflict, parenthesis, even contradiction, end the parenthesis here? Do you see a stira? And the answer, of course, is a stira. What's the stira? How could you call it oid and call it ratzon? The whole idea of oid is ha'ora. The whole idea of oid, which is ha'ora, is memele. If oid is ha'ora and it's memele, how could you say ratzon? Ratzon is not memele. Ratzon is, in Chassidus, ratzon means there was before I want, when I want, and after I want. It has the shaychas rinyan azman. Kedima v'yichur. So how can you say that oid is memele from the moed, automatically from the moed, and at the same time you're saying that the Eibush is a balabayis over the oid? If he wanted, there wouldn't be oid. The inyan of Gilad Etzenis. Okay? That's a problem. In other words, bringing together the mashal of Eid HaShemesh and Chayes HaNefesh creates a huge dilemma. Eid HaShemesh brings out the inyan of Eid Mein HaMoed. Chayes HaNefesh brings out the inyan of Gilad Etzenis. The combination of the two seems impossible. So now you read question 16. What Hebrew word is used to resolve the contradiction between B'derech HaMeila and B'ratz? You have a car? At least 4 o'clock. Till 5, yeah. What Hebrew word is used to resolve the contradiction between B'derech HaMeila and B'ratz? And the answer, Chavre, is Ritzoinis. We do not call Eid Ein Sof Ratzon. Because if you call Eid Ein Sof Ratzon, automatically you're using the words Kadma Yahed, that once it didn't exist, and now that Hashem wanted, it does exist. So we don't use the word Ratzon, we use the word Ritzoinis. And by the way, this isn't Zeis Chukas and Samach Vov. I'm not making it up. If you don't trust me and believe me, B'vakashan Nafshit, look it up at the end of the Maimon of Zeis Chukas. He brings this as the idea. Gilad Etzenis means the oil comes nebish to b'meila. If not, he wants it to be there. If he wanted it, wouldn't be there. In other words, if you say he wants it to be there, then it's not oil, it's not b'meila. So it's like shefa. If he's making it happen, it's like shefa. So you don't use the lashon ratzon that he wants the air to be there. We use the lashon ritzoinis, which means that if he wanted it, wouldn't be there. And if he wanted it, wouldn't be there means that even when it's there, chachafelu is there memele, it's not behechrech. The light comes out of the source. The light meaning Eid Ein Sof comes out of the source, meaning Atzmos Amos Eitzav Baruch Hu. Memele, and the idea of memele is that he's not involved. He's not nitfis in the ha'ara. But at the same time, you can't say that there's Rahman on two gods. The God that built him Metzias, the God of Metzias Nimtza, the God of Moed, and the God of Eir Chas V'Sholem. Because if he wanted it, wouldn't be. And since if he wanted it, wouldn't be. When it is, he's a balabayis over it. So the lashon that Chassidus uses to resolve this question is we don't want to use the word ratzon. We use the word ritzenis. Now, do I think this is easy to understand? I know it isn't. But I'm just telling you the facts where they're written in Chassidus. Okay? This is the answer to question 16. Okay, someone meant, I heard a voice, I heard a rumbling. Someone, good morning, Menachem Mendel HaTzadik. Mistam of the Zichar Shen Gezok Krishma. Yeah, we made the announcement for Krishma in your absence. You should just know. Achosed macht das Svive. Anybody have any questions or comments? Question? Talk loud, please. I can't hear you.
So, those two inyanim, those ratzin and the ritzoinis, is that it's like it's the opposite of ratzin. That if he didn't want it to happen, then it wouldn't happen.
Correct. Right. It's a way of explaining how he's a balabayas over it, and he's not doing it. Because if he's doing it, it's shefa.
But it's kind of like the teva that I'm saying, light doesn't automatically come, like the light from the sun comes automatically from the sun because that's how Hashem created it. Do you say the same thing as At? Does it come like automatically because Hashem decided that it should come automatically? Or like...
Let me go on a little bit. You're asking a very good question. I added this morning 2 more questions. I added questions 19 and 20. When we get to 19 and 20, I think you'll get a part answer to your question. Okay? You're asking a fair, legitimate question. A good question. And Bakal, I want you to understand that after we spend all this time learning this stuff, you're not going to understand it yourself unless you think about it. And the truth of the matter is you're not going to be able to think about it unless you actually look into the Maimer. And you have to go crazy in Zeis Chukas. It's such a hard Maimer to understand. Because you're trying to understand something which is so ephemeral, it's so not materialistic. It's so full of contradictions. So I'm not gonna give you it. I'm gonna lead you to it. If you're gonna come to it, you're gonna come to it by yourself. But when we do 19 and 20, I think in part you'll have a particular understanding of what you're asking. Okay. Now 17 and 18. I'll do quickly. How do we understand the mashal of sunlight as opposed to it is how it is in science? In science, the sun is limited. Number one, the sun dies. In science, the sun burns up as the light goes out of it. Number two. So b'meila, you cannot really say that it is memela from the sun. The sun is creating it. As light leaves the sun gets older and older and older, and eventually it's going to die. That's how scientists understand it. We don't understand the sun like that. We understand the sun is forever. Moreover, not only do we understand that the sun is forever, we understand that the sun is not busy giving out light. The sun is just sitting in the sky. And the light is coming out of the sun in such a way that has nothing to do with the sun itself. In other words, physicists' understanding of the sun and Hasidus' understanding of the sun is different. I just gave you 3 fundamental differences. Which basically means that in science, the sun is not Oid, it's Shefa. And in Hasidus, the whole Yesod of the Moshe Shefa is Eid HaShemesh. So I pointed this out, not because I want to bring Sveikis into your mind, but I know that if you ever go on Shlichus and you learn Hasidus, someone's going to ask you this question. So you should know there's a difference between the Mashal and the Nimshal. Then in question 18...
I missed that. I only have 2 differences. The thing that there's no nuclear fusion, whatever.
Number 1, the sun is not forever. The sun ages. It's dying.
Fine.
Number 2, the sun is in the process of producing oil. And number 3, as the oil leaves the sun becomes weaker. That's Shefa. We hold the sun is a nitzchi, like it says in Yerushalmi. Chazakim came yibadim. We also hold the sun is not busy making light. The sun is just sitting in the sky. And that the light comes off the face of the sun. These are huge differences. Huge differences. Okay? So now, look at question 18. What proposal did I give to help alleviate this contradiction? I have a simple teretz. It's a simple teretz. It's a Higoyin teretz. I don't have a makkah for it. But it says in Rishonim that the sun has 3 madregas, 3 names. Shemesh, and Chama, and Cheres. And the moon also has 3 names. Levana, Yareach, and Sahar. Samach, Heiresh, like you have in Zayar Siharo. The scientists are talking about Cheres. That's it. The Evdi Aveda Zara understood more than the scientists. They're talking about Chama and Galgal Chama, the Evdim Lachama. Teira talks about Kishemesh Umogin Avaya Lekim. In other words, the physical sun has 3 madregas. The madrega that the scientist sees, which is Gashmias. Lahavdal, the madrega that Eved Aveda Zara sees, but it's Ruchnius. But it's Ruchnius and an oifen that could bring to Hepecha Achtus. And the way Teira explains the sun, that's a mashal for the Mebish Nalein. Shpesach, the Gemara says, Shimshin Hashmei Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nikra Shenemar. Shimshin HaGibur has the Eibishter's name. Shemesh or Mogen Avaya Lekim. Shemesh goes on the Eibishter. So Chasidus is talking about Shemesh. Evdi Aveda Zara talking about Meshtachavim Lechama. And the scientists are talking about Cheres. So it's the same sun, But one is seeing only the Gashmias of the sun, one is seeing the Ruchnias of the sun, and the other is seeing the Emes of the sun. So Chassidus is talking, it's the same ball in the sky, but what is that ball? And it's a chilik min hakotza ala kotza.
So the mashal that Torah gives is a ruchnistic mashal?
It's a mashal of the truth of the Gashmias sun, which is that there's a neshama there, right? And that neshama is the reason the sun exists for Gashmias. And that neshama has the properties the Maimonim talk about. Okay? Question 19. Now, Chavit, these two questions, 19 and 20, I just added this morning. And Mendy, listen carefully to this. This is very, very helpful. Question 19. What three mishalim are used to explain three different levels of Eidin Seif? Okay, you guys all learned Basi Lagani, right? We're lubabs, right? Deira Shvieniks, we're radicals, we're fanatics, we're Meshachisten, we're alle gute Sachen, yes? So you all learned the first page of the first Maimed of Basi Lagani of the Rebbe. And on that first page, the Rebbe brings that there's three madrigas of Eidin Seif. Etzem of Eidin Seif, Gilu Liatzmei B'Shvil Atzmei, which was the Mokkad of Seviv Kalalmin, and Gilu La'atzmei, which was B'Shvil Elomis, which is the Mokkad of Amalek Kalalmin. Right? Remember that page? Everybody, you learned that page? You know the first page of Basi Lagani? It's on the very first page of the very first Maimed the Rebbe ever said. I can't hear you.
I said I learned the first page, but I don't remember the three levels of Eidin Seif.
But so go look again. There's three levels. These three levels each have a different mashal. The mashal for Etzem of Eidin Seif is Chochmas Odom Toyer Ponav. The mashal for Seviv Kalalmin is Eir HaShemesh. The mashal for Mamalek Kalalmin is Chayes HaNefesh. There's three different madregas of Eidin Seif. The madrega of Eidin Seif, which is called Etzem, the mashal is that on the face of a person you could see everything about the person. If you know Chochmas HaPartza, if you understand what you see on a person's face you can see the whole person. The mashal for Seviv Kalalmin is Eir HaShemesh, Eir Mein HaMoed, and the mashal for Mamalek Kalalmin is Chayes HaNefesh, which is already Pnimius, Midas, Svidus, and Protim, and so on. Okay? I'm just telling you this. I remember this from Eter. This is not in a lot of places in Chassidus, but the Rebbe Rashab and Hemshech Eter articulates it. I think I haven't learned Eter in close to 30 years, but I mirdachtach that this is how he separates it. You have three madregas of Eidin Seif and three mishalim. The mashal for Etzem of Eidin Seif is Chochmas Odom Toyer Ponav. The mashal for Seviv Kalalmin is the light of the sun, and the mashal for Mamalek Kalalmin is the light of the neshama. Now, why did I bring this up? Mendy Schneiderman. Why did I bring this up? Question 20. Which of these three mishalim is really useful to give us a sense of what it means and is? If you want to understand Eidin Seif, think about a person's face. What's a person's face? What's a person's countenance? Let me put it to you in other words. Could you exist without a face? Impossible. You can have a pretty face and an ugly face. You can't be without it. It's impossible. If you are, you look like something. Right? The minute you're a motzi b'mitzias, as opposed to a motzi le b'mitzias, you have to look like something. If a human being walks in the street, he's carrying around his countenance. He cannot hide his appearance. Everybody knows that they're not how pretty they are, they're not their face. But it's lo yimale, there's no way for something to exist without looking like something. Eidin Seif is Hashem's face, Mendy. Eidin Seif is Hashem's face. So now, what is Eidin Seif? I'm asking you. Because the Eibishter exists, and of course the key word here is exists as a Metzias Nimtzeh, it's impossible not to have a face. But what is that face? It's the face of Him. So like your face is not separate from you. No one can say, oh, there goes Mendy Schneiderman and his face. You would say maybe there goes Mendy Schneiderman and his mask. But you wouldn't say there goes Mendy Schneiderman and his face. Why not? Because it's him. In the Rasag, Rapsadi Gon talks about mikrim. The word mikrim means necessary byproducts. If you exist, you have a face. That's a mikre. You exist is an inyan amiti. That you look like something is a necessary, it's a requisite. You can't exist without a face. And the Rambam has like 15 mikrim. Everything that exists has a whole bunch of byproducts. And then he says, by the Eibush, there's no mikrim. By Hashem, there's no mikrim. If you exist, you look like something. What you look like, that's Ein Sof. Now this mashal is the best mashal. Because it explains, number one, how Hashem is not giving his face. Hashem is not giving us his face. Are you giving me your face? I'm looking at your face right now, right? Baruch Hashem, I see you with the earphones and not with the smile, so I know I'm looking at you and not at your picture. But even if I'm looking at your picture, yeah? Your face is nothing other than you. But it's your light. It reveals you. But it reveals you not because you're giving your face. You're not giving your face. You're not doing anything for me to have how you look. You're just ising. You're just being. So really, you know, in the Maimed of Zeis Chukas, the Samach Vov, and the Sugya Berveshafa, they use the Moshe of Eid Hashem Chayes HaNefesh. But really, in a certain aspect, the best mashal is not the Eid Hashemesh and not Chayes HaNefesh. The best mashal is your face of a person. Your face is your light. Your face, your light exists automatically if you exist. You cannot walk around without a face. Your face is your light. The Eibishter has a face. Now, the Eibishter is not nuchach to have a face. Because the Eibishter is a motzalei b'metiyas. The Eibishter is mitzamtzim himself to have a face. Now, of course, how could it be mitzamtzim himself and it could be b'meila and all those other exciting things? The Rambam says the Eibishter is einei motzei and he lowers himself to be a motzei rishon. And the motzei rishon is mamtzi kol nimtza. Motzei rishon means mitziyas nimtza kvayach. If the Eibishter exists existentially, he has to have a face. That face is it. It's the most precise mashal to bring out how exactly like the source the light is and how nothing the light is. There's no mitzvahs to the light except the source. Just like your face is nothing but you. Ein Sof is nothing but the Eibishter. But it's a face. It's a separate thing. In other words, this is a higoyin. If you want to get closest to understanding the mashal of Ein Sof correctly, so you start off with the two simple mishalim. The two mitzvahs dike mishalim. The mashal of Eid Hashemesh and the mashal of Chayes HaNefesh. From Eid Hashemesh you take the in from Eid HaMoed. From Chayes HaNefesh you take the in of Gilui Ritenis. And then you ask me the question you asked before. How is it not a creation? So then you use what's probably the best mashal. Think of Ein Sof as Hashem's face. If the Eibishter is a motzi, b'mitzias, he has to have a face. It's lay your mouth, can't be any other way. That face is his Eid. But you see, your face can't do anything, right? Except maybe make people say, feh, or wow. Ivy Shane. I met a guy who's very smart, and he's always learning new ways of that. Like he's a big expert in handwriting and these kinds of things. So he told me he learned a new chokhmah sapartzuf. So I took off my glasses. Okay, look at me. And he went, oh my! And I didn't know if oh my meant terrible or oh my meant terrific. I said, what? He said, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. He looked at a face. He saw, I don't know what he saw. Oh my! He wouldn't tell me what he saw. Every person's face reveals them. But every person's face is nothing other than them. That is really how you have to understand Ein Sof. Ein Sof is the face of God. But Ein Sof can create. Ein Sof can make worlds. Ein Sof can change everything. Your face and my face can do nothing except walk around together with us. The Eibishter's face is a metzias. There's a koyach. But the higoyin, the nature of this face, is no realer than the fact that your skin has a light. I think that's a little bit helpful, Mendele. You agree? Is that a little bit helpful? So, Gadish, this class is developing. Every day I think about it some more, I ask more questions, I give more answers, and so on.
But you said yesterday that if Ein Sof can't create, he's not like a creator, only Hashem himself is a creator. Now you're saying Ein Sof is a creator.
Okay, this is pratim. The Eid is creating b'koyach the Eibishter. My point is, you eat Ein Sof. When you eat breakfast, you're eating oil. You can't eat a person. I don't want you to eat Mendy Schneiderman's face. You know why? Because if you to eat Mendy Schneiderman's face, you have to eat him. By the Eibishter, you're eating oil, and it's only oil. It's not the Eibishter. So the Eibishter's oil is a Metzias, mitzad. But its relationship to him is not different than your relationship with your countenance, with your cluster ponim, with the light of your face. You follow? Okay. Now, question 21. What is the Chiddush of Chaz v'Heir? This is already going back to the Maimed. The Chiddush of Chaz v'Heir is, and I don't have time to explain it, there's many Madregas of Eir. There's many Madregas of Eir, including Madrega of Eir, which is after the Tzimtzum. And of course, the Madrega of Eir after the Tzimtzum is very, very different than the Madrega of Eir, which is before the Tzimtzum. The Chiddush of Chaz v'Heir is that even though Eir has so many levels, and there's so many Tzimtzumim, wherever Eir is, it's Me'ein Amor. Wherever Eir is, it's Dvekus. Wherever Eir is, it's the face of God. What that means, I don't know. But that's the teretz to the kasha. Remember, our Maimon had a kasha. Why are we being miyachid yechudim in the midas and spheres of Atzilus? Why being mechavim b'shem to mitzvahs and spheres in seif is so much higher? And the answer is because the Ein Seif, which is in spheres of Atzilus, is the same Ein Seif shelafnei atzimtzum because of the principle of Chaz v'Heir. The oil changes a lot, many levels. Helem and Gilui, Eagle and Yosher and on. But wherever oil is, if it's oil, it's Dvekas. Okay, this is the official end of the year in Derech Mitzvah Hatefilla. Now I am going to say.
There's one more question.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm not doing it.
Oh, fine.
I want to make a statement. I have a Yetzer Hara. This Yetzer Hara is not a bad Yetzer Hara, but it's Taka Yetzer Hara because I get sibele from it. There's a piece of me that would like to continue teaching Shoresh Mitzvas Hatefilla throughout the summer. I'll go on every day at 8:30 and I'll talk to the computer. If you'll be there, you'll be there. You won't be there, you won't be there. There is a small possibility that I'm going to continue these shiurim. I may. Now, if I choose to do so, I don't think it's going to be tomorrow morning. If tomorrow morning we have a shiur, it'll be V'ata Tetzaveh B'Pashtus. But there is a possibility that I'm going to do this, and I'm doing it just for my own guy v'yeshes. I want to teach Derech Mitzvah Hatefilla, I want to teach Mitzvas Hatefilla. If Rabbi Blau will leave the station open, the Zoom open, I'll do it on Zoom. If he won't leave the station open, I'll do it on Facebook and on YouTube and on my own website. So I'm saying now to the Yetzer Hara of my Yetzer Hara, in other words, the Yetzer Hara that doesn't want my Yetzer Hara to continue teaching Shoresh Mitzvas Hatefilla, that perhaps I'll continue doing it through the summer. And if I do it, and if you want to join, it'll be at this time, at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, I'll see you tonight. The Mitzvah Hashem will have a Fabring. The Fabring versteht sich. I can't hear you.
Put it on the WhatsApp group.
What about the WhatsApp group?
If you're going to continue and when you're going to do it.
Okay, there's so many yeshiva WhatsApp groups, I don't even know who's talking to whom. It's so, on my phone, I have 20 WhatsApp groups. Yeshiva, Chayveve, Toimche, Ache, Hanhola, Bochrim, Good Morgen, Good Nachmittag, Good Novent. It's so confusing. I'll send a message to Rabbi Blau, and he'll pass it along. I mean, I guess it's Toimche Learning. I guess it's Toimche Learning. I can send it over there. I want to continue. Because I think my neshama came into this world to teach Chassidus, and I have this medium, I should use it. The reason not to do it is because the summer is my time to do things for myself. And if I have to give these shiurim, I have to prepare these shiurim. But there's a piece of me that wants to do it. By Sunday, I will have made up my mind. I either will or I won't. If I'll do it, I'll let you know. And I'll see you tonight. If tonight Fabring starts at 8 o'clock, what we'll do is, before Maidev, I'll push it Chazer V'ata Tetzaveh. The Chazer in the Maimer. Yeah, the Rebbe writes you should Chazer 1/3 of the Maimer after Maidev, 1/3 of the Maimer after Shachris, and 1/3 of the Maimer after Mincha. So in Basi Lagani, it's Perek Aleph and Beis, Gimel and Daled and Hey. In V'ata Tetzaveh, it's Perek Aleph through Daled. And it works out. These are 3 sugyas. Perek Hey through Ches, and Perek Tes till Yud Beis. So if the Fabringen starts at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock darf ich abstellen auf Maidev. And I have a minyan outside. I don't know what you guys are going to do about the minyan. So if we start 8 o'clock, we'll push to start with Chazri, the first 4 parakim of Atat Tetzaveh, and then after Ma'ariv we'll have a Fabringen. Okay? Please, somebody let me know when the Fabringen starts. Good morning.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, it's klappt so you stop pushing in the middle of a Ma'ariv. Everyone's going to go do V'hurachem Echapen Oven to Anander Minyan and Kumen Tzirik. Okay.